our live Q&A session. Notably, Uma has aced PMP with above target scores in all three domains. We will learn from her how she did it and we'll also ask her for her invaluable tips. Furthermore, we'll also throw open the platform for questions from any angle on PMP directed towards Uma. Yes, you can as such go ahead and ask any questions whatsoever, to Uma. And we'll be, more than happy to, and Uma will be more than happy to go ahead and take it forward. Post our discussion with Uma, as always, we'll go ahead and switch to our Q&A mode where I'll go ahead and discuss 5 sample clone questions for the day. Yeah, so let's get started. And without much here ado, let me go ahead and congratulate our champion of the day, Uma, who has gone ahead and aced PMP with flying colors. Over to you, Uma. Kindly share your invaluable tips to the audience, post which the audience will be free to ask any questions to you.
Thank you, Soumya. Thank you for those wonderful words. This is Uma here. I recently cleared my PMP and proud to say that today I am a PMP certified. I am a chartered accountant by qualification and I have a management accounts, internal audit and insurance qualification. My profession currently is into consultancy where render project management, change management and other services for our clients. So I guess around 2 years back, late 2020, I had been thinking about doing PMP. I mean, not just PMP, I was scouting for courses to upskill myself, which puts me into a better career path. And PMP was one such course which I wanted to pursue. I've been thinking about when I was not very, going about very seriously about it. And in the meanwhile, I had a friend of mine, Rekha, who's in IT. She was also attempting to do PMP at the same time. So I was asking her a lot of questions about what the course is about and how is her experience and other stuff. That went on for a year, but I was like, not going into it and then just kept postponing. I would say late December 2021, I wanted to seriously do something. So I decided, okay, this year I will have a target. I will try to complete by June. Around Feb, I will complete PMP. That was my target. And I wanted to start post. I had another exam somewhat coming up after February. I was asking my friend Rekha to, get some books from her and to start working on it and see what it is about and all. She gave me a big book of PMBOK and then said, please take it. And then, I tried multiple times, couldn't go past the first chapter. I was like, I'm an accountant. We are used to reading laws. It's not that we are lengthy books and too much of theory. We are used to it. But I think over a period, we are now so used to not reading much or, we are so simple one-liners and 140 characters is what now we are used to. I could never go past that first chapter at all. This went on for some time. And around the same time, she told me about EduHubSpot and she was, initially last year she tried, but unfortunately she couldn't. Then she went ahead and researched and she had found out EduHubSpot. She did probably all the research for me. Before I could do, she did that. And she said that she is pursuing this course. Like that she was informing. So I thought, okay, great. And one morning in Feb, I think early morning, I got a message from her that I cleared PMP. I think Feb or March or something like that. She said that, oh God, that she has done it. Then there's no reason for me to now push it ahead. I should do it. So I got onto her and started eating her head and then getting a lot of information from her about EduHubSpot. And then she gave me details. She also gave me Mr. Gautham's number, supposedly my mentor. And she gave you should go ahead. Then I was just, a day or two I was contemplating and then went ahead and then booked my course with EduHubSpot. 1st of April, I started this year. And when I had the first call with Gautham, I would say, he explained about the process, explained about how the course works, the home videos and the course which I had enrolled into. I had taken PMP bootcamp with a mentor. So it was a 6-day weekend, 3 weekends and 6 days course, which I had to go through. And along with that, a lot of homeworks which we had to do. And yeah, that's about it. And he was explaining all those things, and he was wanting a time commitment. And he said that, you need to, we are next week, our first week, I think 9th or something, we were going to start the course. So he said, by then you need to complete 4 homeworks. I was like, no, no way. I was not ready to commit to him about, how much I can see. He was like, 2 days, you have to finish this, that, and all. I said, give me some time. I mean, you have a lot of other commitments, work and then family and all, so you don't know really how much of time you can give. So I was like not skeptical. I didn't tell him that, okay, fine, I will try 4. I mean, because he said the first few days we are going to have Agile concepts. So you need to go first 4 chapters. First one was on introduction, and first 3 chapters were about Agile. So it will be easy for you when you attend the class. That's what he said. So I started with first one. Attended the videos by Varun, and the introduction. When I started, the website was still under revamp. So I mean, it was not done. So I went again the old content outline program, the 10 knowledge areas and Agile. So it was around 14 homeworks was there, and with the clones. So I had to start it with the first one. So went ahead with the videos, completed it, and I kind of caught on to me that, it was like a rage that I had to finish that homework and attempt, and to see where I am doing well or not, or whatever it is. I went ahead one by one. I guess I finished the first 4 before the class. So it was a good way to, attend the homeworks. I mean, it gave me a little edge, when you attend fresh off it, if you go and attend, probably you might not catch the concept. I mean, I'm not saying it won't catch the concepts, but it gave me a kind of an edge that I was able, when the class was there, I was able to contribute also. And another worry was like, the timing. I mean, for us, it was starting, it's a weekend for 4 to 11:30 and all. I was not at all sure if I would pull through that, 7.5 hours of marathon for 2 days continuously. How would I even do it? I was not sure. Guess the class itself was so lively. The way Gautham conducted the class, lovely and very lively, I would say, and he kept interacting. When the class is so interacting and lively, and you have a mentor like him. So I also contributed, and more you contribute, more and more you are a part of the session. Sometimes we hold ourselves up saying that, if I answer something stupid, I mean, there are other 40 people over there. I mean, I could be stupid. I mean, I could answer something very wrong, completely, that could stop people from contributing. Or I went ahead. I mean, I would probably be the first person when he throws a quiz. I will be the first person to go there and press it. And yeah, I would wait for, I mean, maybe I went back to my school days where you went on to answer, ready for answers, and tell I know it kind of an answer. And so I went ahead, and I was part of the session throughout. So it was, when you are there lively and attending, you don't feel bored. And when the sessions were very good, it was very interactive, and we could pull through. I've enjoyed thoroughly those 2 days of initial one. And then then I went ahead all the homeworks. I guess I finished all the homeworks before my 6th class. I mean, 5th class was going on. So it was like kind of, I went ahead and learned, and it was very interesting to learn. The videos were very interesting, and the questions were also, test you very well. And I was constantly, Gautham was in touch with me about whenever I submit my homework, he will let me know what I should do next and all. So it was very good. So he will be very, whether it was by email or even with WhatsApp, he used to immediately reply. And when he had a doubt, he would clarify it. And I went ahead, attended all those sessions. The way I went ahead is like, first initially till the homeworks were completed, I went through the videos, just as expected, completed the homeworks, and then reviewed the questions, the answers, where I did well and where I did not do well. So I assessed why it was. It was very necessary that you go through, the answers. Why? You could very well be selecting an answer by fluke. So you need to know the logic behind why you select a particular answer. So that went on till the homeworks, and the class also got over. And Gautham suggested I start so I did my first mock. and I think I got around 70 or something. And even the homeworks consistently was doing okay only. I mean, but I mean, as per Gautham, I wouldn't say like, he said, no, no, you're killing it, you're doing well, no problem, you go ahead, next one. So he was like pushing. I mean, I was just used to wonder, what is this guy saying? I'm getting this. I mean, you are not used to seeing, it's okay, 17 marks out of 20 or 20 out of 25 is good. Somebody is fine. I mean, then I went ahead with the mock. I got 70. Then I had a break. I had here 1 week. We had holidays here, so I went on my holiday, and then I came back and continued my mocks. Around that time, I think the website changed. So now the way it was. So I was asking Gautham whether I should go back and do my homeworks again or go back and do the first mock again. He said no. It is just the way it is being rearranged. There's nothing much as such. How it is being put across and organized is what has changed, but not actually the knowledge part of it. So I went ahead, mocks 1, 2, and 4 till 4 I did. And around, I was getting around 70, 71 was my score. Then I was the process was again the same. Go homeworks, through questions, and review the answers, what you did, what is the mistake you did. And I was getting around that. It was not going. I was making one I realized was I was making some silly errors, which I also, around the time when I was doing those questions, everything was not above average. All those things were not there. And then there were also categories where below needs improvement and all that. So I was just not sure whether I am ready or not. And I went ahead with those mocks. And then he told me that you should, now you're good enough, you go ahead with your exam. I wouldn't, probably, for, as he says, Gautham, he says the only problem he had with me was to push me to book my exam. So that's the only thing he had an issue with. And I did my mocks, and then I went to my clones. And clones were like, first was so confusing. I got 65 or 63, something like that. Both the clones, I got it around that time only. So my confidence level was like, what is this? I did good in mocks, and the clones were not so good. So I wasn't sure what to do, whether do I go ahead and book and all. And in this time also, I finished off all the homeworks. When I did the mocks, there were certain portions which I was constantly making mistakes, certain definitions or certain concepts, like a resource leveling and smoothing. I was constantly getting confused with those terminologies and those inspection and audit, where it comes, some kind of issues were there. So I went ahead, what I did is I went through the slides. Instead of going through the videos, I went to the slide mode. And slide mode, it becomes, once you've attended the videos, there's no point in going and seeing the video. So I went to the slide mode, I paused it, and then saw and took notes of it and kept it. And did the clones also. And another thing was I had the old PMBOK, so a little bit of glossary, a little bit of cert concepts, which definitions which I needed. I went through those, so my concepts gets clear. But this was what I did. I was still not sure. The last day before my exam, Saturday morning, 6:30 Muscat time, was what I had put my exam. And Thursday evening on to Friday, I was like totally lost. Gautham said, don't study tomorrow, just rest and all. He would say what he can say. With the pressure that one goes through is what he knows. So then the last set, what I did was, I went to the YouTube of EduHubSpot. I went through I saw that since last year, I think around last 10 or 12 months, maybe, there were weekly, these were there. So I started off with Jan, completed it. And then how I went about is like, I would go to the question which Soumya or Gautham posts. I'll pause it, I'll note my answer, and then I will go to the answer solution when he gives, and then I will validate. He will give the one thing which I cloned test was, clone test did not have the video explanation of Varun. In that, it was not telling me why this particular issue, why did I do a mistake, or why this has to be there. It was not very clear. So, but this live sessions explained me that, this is the logic behind why this particular question this is the answer. So those things, as I went ahead and did, I felt confident because I was logic was also good. It's not that I was blindly selecting an answer. My logic, why I selected with the mentor who was presenting those sessions, I went ahead, completed most of it. Then I was ready with that, and then went ahead and gave my exam, and with what you call, uh,
With all the
full.
fortune in place.
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, I got that. Congratulations. Till then, my one thing, another thing was, time was never an issue when I was doing my tests. Time was always, I had an hour or so with me when I was doing my mocks and clones. So I decided that I need to spend time, a little more than what I was doing, so that I avoid those silly mistakes and catch the nuances of a question. So during my exam, that I did, but still I had more time at my hand. But it was a very good. It was a nice paper. I do not know each one how it experience. I could say now it is a very nice paper after getting it. But yes, when I was going through it was not very confusing kind of questions were posed. It was clear questions were there, or at least maybe the way we attended the mocks and clones made us look through the question and identify those keywords or those minute points, and which helps us select the answer very clearly. So I was going and rechecking, and then sometimes I felt it was so easy an answer. I mean, am I really selecting the answer correct? So I went ahead. For me, that took me a time. So I went ahead, rechecked, and some of the questions I had marked, and then all those I reviewed and I completed. So that's what was the journey. And I would
So,
say,
I request, if you can share the split up of the questions roughly, like, were there mathematical questions, were there drag
no,
and
there
drop
were
kind
no
of.
mathematical questions at all. Only one question was indirect. It was no numbers were there. It was about EV and A question. So otherwise, there was no need. And you have a calculator there. I mean, whiteboard was what we all talk about. There's a calculator there. I didn't have numbers at all. No need for that. Just for my understanding, I put some sample numbers to ensure whether I'm doing correctly or not. Otherwise, there was no. There were 3 to 5 match the following kind of a question where you do that. Otherwise, all questions were invariably scenario-based questions. They were not testing your memory. They were not testing your definition skills, or how well you knew a particular definition or whatever it is. They pose you a situation, and as a PMP, how you're going to attend. And mostly, I wouldn't say it was the answer choices were very confusing or anything. I would say I could probably 20 questions or 25 questions where you had a issue between selecting two answers, where it was really very close kind of questions which you felt could be you could select either of it kind of. But questions you are already your classes and your homework through those questions, and say that, yeah, this cannot be an answer. You know it very well, so you can straight away eliminate those and go ahead with those. Where there were questions where you had multiple probable answers, then you have to spend a little more time to I would say similar. I remember, I don't remember questions. One question I remember was about a functional manager. The project manager is there, and it's a matrix organization, and there is an issue where the functional manager is not giving you the details. So what will you do? So there were two choices, which was like go to the CEO or drop, kind of answers, which were absolutely, that it cannot be taken. Then other two answer choices where you go to the functional manager, speak to him and solve. Correct, one of the best choice. Then other one was go to the teams directly. So if you look at it, if you know that's a matrix organization, along with the functional manager, you also have a power over it. You don't necessarily need to go to the functional manager over those team members. You can go to them and ask them some question. So that way I identify smaller points. You need to, that is where you use those concepts, those definitions which you had studied, where why what's yeah, where
Yep.
were helpful.
Absolutely. So you got everything done within the span of 1 month, right?
Yes. So I would
That's
say, a relationship always works on longevity. a relationship with EduHubSpot works on its brevity. The more you are,
Absolutely.
and that you could finish your PMP. So I was like,
Right.
yeah, mid May I completed. I started my course April 9th when the classes started. May second week I completed my PMP.
Perfect, Uma. So Uma, we have a few questions, out there from the audience. Audience is, all congratulating you out there with, great comments. Obviously, you got done with this exam within 1 month. That with our target scores in all domains, which is great, awesome. So the first question which I have from Meena out here, I will go ahead and depict on the screen. So as you can see, congratulations, Uma. I would like to know how much of PMBOK 7 did you see in your exam? I'm intending to
I
do
have
the
not
exam.
seen PMBOK 7. I have not seen PMBOK 7. So I
Okay.
wouldn't know go there. Yeah, I went by what was taught in the class. Those were my resources. I had PMBOK 6 from my friend, which I told you, which I had used for my glossary, revision of my glossary, and some of the concepts which I felt I needed to brush it up. But otherwise, I would say I solely went with the material, video material, and homeworks and mocks and clones provided by EduHubSpot.
Very nice. So this is a very important aspect out there. The PMBOK or any other textbooks are there for reference. All that goes out and helps you tide over the exam is your thought process, is your PMI way of thinking, and of course, the strategies that you get along. The more you go out and get aligned with those strategies, the better, right? So this was the first question of the day, and also, I will request the audience to come out with as many questions as possible. So Uma will try to resolve those within the specific or allotted time. So having said that, Julia has gone ahead and asked the second question. So if you can see on the screen, what percentage were the agile questions?
There were a lot of agile questions. I cannot exactly say how much percentage of agile questions were there, but there were a lot of agile questions. But see, even agile or the waterfall method, it is about. I mean, it's still about the scenarios and how you are going to resolve those issues. So here they are not exactly, it is just a way of thinking how you're going to apply it. So I wouldn't say they tested on specific topics. I mean, your mocks, there were questions like how do you do a retrospective, what are all the ways retrospectives, these all were there in the mocks. So I was not remembering, so those on I took notes not. So PMP exam is not testing you or whether you know all those, whether generate ideas and gather insights, all those. They are not asking you all those things. They are testing you the way you're going to solve. What is the right way of resolving a particular situation? We are posed with a scenario, in a situation. How do you attend the situation? That is how testing.
Excellent. So, just based on our observation that we are, going and getting to receive from mentees from all across, around 60 to 70% roughly are appearing from agiles, in some cases even more. So you can, just go ahead and, take it for granted that there will be most of the questions will be from agile mindset, agile or agile plus, hybrid, kind of mindset. Okay. So coming to the next question out here from Lalit.
Hi, Lalit. You are part of my group. How are you?
That's awesome.
Yes. I did, notes when I attended the video also, I noted down certain points. Basically, what anything meant. You don't need to note down, the videos which we are talking about. I mean, what I watched as a home initial one where the input tools and outputs were all shown. So those listed many things. I was not memorizing any of those. Conceptually, anything is discussed, any particular item is noted it. Again, during the classes with Gautham also, wherever points were mentioned, I noted those. Yes, I did take. It was not in detailed notes, like hints of probably the mind map which Gautham was talking about. So those kinds of things I did.
Very nice. And I presume you're referring to the notes just before the exam while doing your revision and all, right? So that's something which is very handy at that point of time as well. Okay, going to the next question from Mohammed. Length of the questions, any comment on that?
Not very lengthy as in, for me, it was not too lengthy. it was not confusing to put you out of it. It was clear questions only, 2-3 lines of question, scenarios, and then question came up. That was not too elaborate and not that way. At least I did not get it that way.
Perfect. So Anand has his next question.
I did have, I did have time. I mean, time is how, each one's way of reading it, how you go about reading the question and how you go about reading the answers makes a difference in how you're managing the time. Enough time, I could finish actually probably 35-40 minutes ahead of.
Very nice.
I did take my breaks. I wouldn't say I took all the 10 because I was like, nervous about coming back and finishing it. So 5 to 6 minutes of breaks I took, having relaxing, just because sitting through that with that all that tension, you always stress out. So a light stroll and water and something like that I had in between my breaks.
Perfect. And that also brings us to, a very, very important point out there. I presume you had gone ahead and, kind of tightened your shoes during the mocks itself, in terms of time management. This is very, very important, right? So any special tips that you'd like to share with the audience on time management? Because that's very important.
I do not know, because there many of them had talked about. See, you have to have a deadline of, where you have to have at least one benchmark about how many questions will you finish in a particular time period. But again, there are some questions you can very well go ahead. Very well. This means this is it. There is no other way of looking. It is always better to read the question correctly and read the answers, and then as they talk about this elimination technique, eliminate it and look at the nuances of the question. Don't miss out any portion of the question. Read it. Everything matters there. There might be a critical point which is mentioned. When you ignore it, then the whole answer changes. So read your question thoroughly and read your answers also thoroughly, and then you will be able to do it. There is no need, in case you are, if a particular question or a particular, you want to complete 30 questions in a particular time period and you have exceeded the little more. It's okay. You still can catch up your time. We have 230 minutes only for 180 questions. That's more. There are not all the questions are going to test you with your time and thinking. There will be certain questions which definitely make you think, so you can spend your time there rather than on every question. So in case you are a little bit here and there, you can manage it. And then unless you are not very sure about a particular market for review, if you want to mark every other question for review, it's better then and there you see a question, attend it, and then you be clear that you've done it and go back. Because if you're going to other question as a review, and then you will be running out of time, because your breaks, your review time is still a part of your session. So when you're attending itself, thoroughly do it. Definitely you want to have a rethink, because when you're seeing so many questions, sometimes you might lose focus. So those questions you mark it. 60th question or your 120th question, you have a break to review it. At that time you can review, and then you either confirm your answer or change your answer.
Absolutely. So thanks, Uma, for answering all these questions out there. Really worthwhile to go ahead and mention about the patience that you had, and also the time that you took out for us for these questions out there for all the mentees from all across the globe. It's great to have you in this session. There are a few more questions out there, and I'll just quickly go through these questions, and whatever is relevant, you can possibly go ahead and take it up and answer. So Meena asking, how was it for this 4-hour marathon test, taxing, right? Now, how did you prepare for it? In fact, Uma had actually gone ahead and taken us through all the scenarios and the history of the story behind how she went there and aced the exam. So if you have any doubts, or if you want to revisit how Uma did it, you can refer back to this YouTube link. You will go ahead and get to see how Uma went there and did it. The next question was from Karnika, who says, do you have cutoff for each of the processes to pass the PMP? There are, but that's something which is known by PMI only. We don't know out here. No one knows what is the cutoff. But what we recommend, and as you heard from Uma, what Gautham or even any of the other mentors from EduHubSpot recommends, is that you should be going out and aiming for at least 60 to 70% in the mocks to be on the safer side. Yeah. In case of Uma, she attained 70% in the mocks. In some of the other cases 65%, and she was sure to go ahead and hit bullseye. So that's what you should be going ahead and ideally targeting. Now, this question
One
directly
more
is for, yeah, yes, please.
one super point
Yeah.
I want to make.
Mhm.
When whether it is uh, uh, you know you're doing again and again, you will have a memory of that particular question and answer. You'll automatically go to choose those choices and you'll get 85. But that does not give you a comfort level. That will should not give you a comfort level, because it's based on your memory you're doing. But you need to look at why you selected wrongly, so that if you are going to correct, then it will work out better.
Very, very important point. Onus is not necessarily on memory; it's on the understanding and how you're applying. Thank you, Uma, for sharing that point. Uma, there is one question from Srijit out here. Where he asks, "Are the test questions easier than the mock test?" I'll just put it
Yes,
on the screen.
yes, yes. Am I audible,
Yeah, you are. You
Soumya?
are audible. You are audible. Yep.
Yes. Mocks were definitely. I mean, mocks had a mix of scenario based and concept and direct questions on certain definitions, and certain things were there. Were more confusing in the way it was worded. So clones were that way, but the actual were somewhere closer to the clones, but it was all clear questions. I mean, you were not. It was not so anybody to understand.
Very nice, Uma. There is one other question from Anna, where she asks whether you can choose not to take breaks so that you have additional time. Possibly, you can go
Breaks
ahead
are
and
not
answer.
a part of your time.
Yep.
Breaks are additional to your 230 minutes. You get 10 minutes of break, which is 230 plus 20 minutes. That is 270 minutes. It is better you take those breaks, because you cannot continue for those many hours. I mean, it is not about sitting and mentally you will get bogged down. So you better take, even if it is for 5 minutes, just take a stroll and take some water and say no, relax your eyes. You come back, you have a fresh perspective. I mean, 60 questions by then is already gone. So at least the next 60 questions you can concentrate and do. So it's better you take the breaks.
Thank you, Uma. Thank you very much, for having shared this time with us. It's very, very crucial that it's not only about one's own success, but also letting others go towards attaining the success out there in PMP. So it's great to have you out there in this session. So awesome to go ahead and be part of you as a mentee. EduHubSpot goes ahead and congratulates you. Wish you all the very best for your future. And for all the audience who still have questions to Uma, you can reach us out at any point of time. You can reach us out on my email ID out here as well. And we will see how we can go ahead and help you connect with Uma, or go ahead and try to see if we can go ahead and resolve the questions at our end by ourselves. So that's my email ID, and I'll also show the same on the screen as well. So this is my email ID. You can reach me out at any point of time, and we look forward to each and every one of your success. Now, having said that, thank you, Uma. Thank you for your time. So you can possibly take some rest now. Take a breather. That's what
Thank you.
you
Thank
deserve.
you a lot.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day. Take care. Okay, so that was Uma going ahead and sharing her success story with us, and going ahead and answering all the questions from a knowledgeable audience. I hope that was a great session, and you definitely went ahead and benefited a lot from someone who recently aced the exam. That too, with above target scores in all three domains within 1 month from the point when she went ahead and enrolled. Now, coming back to my earlier promise, there are 5 more weekly Q&A questions to go ahead and discuss, right? So let's go ahead and switch back to the mode of Q&A as we keep doing. And here comes the first question of the day. Okay, so let me bring myself back and let's get into the question. So, James is part of a cultural event project that has distinct work packages of varying durations. Okay, the work packages further comprises of tasks which cannot be predictably scheduled. Which of the following agile approaches should James recommend in this case? Okay, cultural event project, distinct work packages. Yeah, so not work packages, or you don't have work packages which are common. You have distinct or unique work packages with durations which are varying. Okay, now the work packages further comprise of tasks which cannot be predictably scheduled. So if it cannot be predictably scheduled, you know that predictive methodology doesn't work out here, isn't it? Now, which of the following approaches, agile approaches, should James recommend in this case? Now, if there is anything of varying duration, remember the first keyword that should strike your mind is flow-based. Flow-based methodology or flow-based agile is there to go ahead and make sure that you are taking care of these varying durations. Very, very important. Now, predictive is anyways ruled out. Incremental, well, we are not talking about speed. We are not talking about competitors. We are not talking about anyone coming out with some product in the market which can actually pose some threat to you. So incremental anyways gets sidelined. Extreme programming, it's not extreme programming. Out here it's referred to as extreme. So there's nothing referred to as extreme. Remember that, and don't fall into the trap out here that it is XP. No, this is only standout out here is flow-based agile methodology. Okay, so you click on this, don't submit, know that this is the best option out here. Our pleasure, Kanika. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. So here goes question number 2, and your timer starts now. Okay, so last 10 seconds. Should be pretty straightforward. In fact, I went ahead and mentioned about the hint in the previous question itself. Should not be a big deal for you. Okay, so what does this question say? You are the owner of a restaurant chain who wishes to create smartphone application for their users. The competitors of your company chain are racing to come out with similar application. You know it very well, word racing. Obviously, synonymous to you going ahead and dealing with speed. And if you have to deal with speed, which of the agile approaches suits you the best? Has to be incremental, isn't it? Yes, absolutely right. All of you are absolutely spot on. Okay, so it should be option D. Click on it, and you know that this has to be the right option. By the way, if you have any doubts or queries at any point of time, as I keep mentioning, you can reach me out at any point of time over my email ID, which is soumya.ghatak@eduhubspot.com, my first name dot second name @eduhubspot.com, or you can also go ahead and send me friend requests out there over LinkedIn, and I will be happy to go ahead and connect with you. So this is my LinkedIn ID out here. Let me go ahead and share the same, and you can go ahead and send your connection request. I'll be happy to go ahead and connect and help you forward. It's your love, your likes, your shares, your comments, which goes ahead and takes us forward, and that's what we honestly look forward from each and every one of you. Okay. So having said that, let me take a backstage out here, and let's go into the next question. So here comes question number 3. Timer starts now. Okay, so time's up. So Meena Anand says B and D. Okay. Anyone else? So there are two options. Okay. So Manoj says C and E. Interesting. So there are many who go ahead and select B and D. There are only two options which are correct, Shibuzo, not three. Okay, so Julia says C and E. Okay, so let's see what the question is asking you. As a product owner, so imagine that you are a product owner. Now, whenever you talk about a product owner, you know that you are dealing with the product side of thing. You are owning the product. You are owning the business side or the revenues side of the product. So, from that perspective, if you notice that your team's schedule has been made unworkable owing to too many meetings, right? And you have been asked, or you are looking forward to decide, which meetings you should prioritize, which you should be going for. It's as simple as, you going ahead and checking out where all or which all meetings, you as a product owner should be attending. Yes, that's very, very important, Lalit. You can't afford going out and missing out on any of these key terms out there. Product owner is a very, very important, very, very strong term. So just like if you go ahead and get in any question, the semblance of Scrum Master should be knowing that you should be aligned towards a process-oriented approach. Now, just like that, if you are looking forward to the product owner's perspective, product owner's thought process should be looking more from the business or the product side of things, right? Now, you notice as a product owner that your team schedule has been made unworkable owing to too many meetings, right? So now, what should you go ahead and attend less frequently? Now, that's the final, kind of, tip out here. Very, very important to keep noting the same, right? It's not saying that which should you go ahead and attend more frequently. It is asking which should you attend less frequently. In other sense, out of these five options, there will be three which you should be attending more frequently, and two which you should be attending less frequently. So you'll have to go ahead and select those two. You should be very, very clear. Make sure that you go ahead and spend those 30 to 40 seconds initially upfront to understand, what the question is going ahead and asking. Right now, absolutely, Meena, you got it. Product owner has to attend the SME consultations. How can he go ahead and not attend? That's how you should be thinking out. So end user feedback sessions, you need that, right? Product owner is concerned about the product. How can he or she not go ahead and attend the feedback sessions? Those are very, very important, right? A gets knocked out. Daily stand-up meetings. Do you need the product owner to go ahead and manually attend the daily stand-up meetings? Not necessarily. Remember, in the daily stand-up meetings, is the team who go ahead and huddle together. They go ahead and discuss, what went well yesterday, what they are supposed to go ahead and do today, and what are there as blockers, which they need to go ahead and resolve. So B, standout option. You don't have to look back, right? Daily stand-up meetings. Product owner need not go ahead and attend daily stand-up meetings on a mandatory level. B is an option. C, product SME consultations, as I mentioned, gets knocked off. Sprint retrospectives, product owner is required out there. Because in retrospectives, we're discussing the lessons learned. And if there are any lessons learned from the product's perspective, who will go ahead and be involved out there? Is the product owner, no one else. Then also team performance reviews. This is very, very important out there. Should the product owner go ahead and be participate in the team performance reviews? Should he or she? Not necessarily. So all those who went ahead and correctly chose option B, that is daily stand-up meetings, and option D is team performance reviews, are correct. Absolutely, Meena. Absolutely, Julia. And all those who have attempted B and E are absolutely correct. As you see out here. So moving on to the next question. So here comes question 4, and your timer starts now. So time's up. Anyone with any option? There is only one option which will be correct, Kanika, out here. Okay, so Srijit says B. Lalit says C. Very nice, Lalit. hmm Anyone else? Well, if you are tied between two options, you will have to go ahead and choose the best out of the lot. Remember, there should be some fail-safe mechanism for that as well. Okay, so Anna says B. So I see mostly B's and one C. Okay, let's see what the question is asking us. The product owner needs to apply more accurate business value estimates to the product backlog. In order to do that, the product owner needs a more precise view of the actual time spent on tasks. As a project manager, which one should you recommend to address the problem? Right? So you as a product owner or project manager, or rather, as the product owner, someone needs a more precise view of the actual time being spent on tasks. Now, as a project manager, how should you go ahead and assist the product owner to help resolve this particular problem, which is very, very important, right? Precise view of tasks, right? The actual time spent on that. That's what is the need of the hour. So for that, obviously, there should be some estimation schemes or mechanisms which will actually go ahead and give you the same, isn't it? That should be your initial thought process. That's how you should preempt and then go for using the relevant option. Option A says go ahead with pre-planning the rest, or rather replanning the rest of the project to make use of flow-based agile. Way to out of the context, right? A knocked off. I even don't need to go ahead and think about it, right? Explain the product owner that estimating flexible units enable agile to accelerate delivery of business value. Now, yes, this is correct by itself, standalone. But what does that have to do in the context of this particular question? You need more accurate feature or more accurate version of the actual time being spent on tasks. So how will you being flexible with the time, in Agile, go ahead and help you out? That's not the question out here. You'll have to come out with a more precise, view of the tasks out there. You can't say that he or she is wrong out there, product owner, in expecting that you have to come out with a precise time, that you go ahead and take on tasks. You can go ahead and give your the bosses, whatever, or the the management out there a precise view of the task. That's how you go ahead and estimate, right? Train the team on making use of ideal hour units. Now, even if you are not sure about what ideal hour units are, it's absolutely fine. But at least this option talks about you going ahead with the team and training them on this particular hour units, and guiding them to re-estimate the product backlog accordingly. This makes the most sense. Option D says, in order to increase precision of time users calculations, half the iteration length to 1 week. Never ever. That's again out of the context. D again gets ruled out, right? So at the outset, when you are going and reading the question, you should be focused on how you should go ahead and approach the options. If you are preempting that, this should be the thought process, and that you will go ahead and get by practicing more, going and listening to how the mentor takes you, as Gautham had gone ahead and guided Uma out there. The more you will go ahead and get yourself internalized with the PMI thought process, and the more you'll be able to have that kind of preemptions whatsoever. That is what is the need of the hour, right? So out here, option C says train the team on the ideal hour units and go ahead and help them, re-estimate or guide them to re-estimate the product backlog. Okay, so option C should be the best one out here. So you see, and let's move on to the last question of the day, which is question 5, which you see out here in your screen. Your timer starts now. Okay, so last 5 seconds. There are two options to be selected. Awesome, Lalit, you're nailing it. Okay, so Anand says B and C, Meena says A and C, Shrijit says B and C. Anyone else? This is the last question of the day. Okay, so let's get into the explanation of this question. Okay, so an agile team is blocked for several weeks on a problem. One of the team members solved the problem. However, post release of the software, it appears that the solution being implemented caused the function to fail. The quality in charge demands an explanation, right? So post release of the software appears as though that the solution that got implemented caused the functionality to fail, and the quality in charge demands the solution. So what's the entire end-to-end scenario, and you'll have to be clear about the scenario even before jumping towards the option, unless and until you're pressed against time, pressed for time. Now, this particular scenario tells you that as a solution to a problem, as in an attempt to go ahead and solve the problem, you came out with some solution. But post release of that solution, it appears that the entire software is broken, because of that particular issue, or that particular solution which you had introduced. Yeah. So the solution to a problem has gone ahead and reintroduced another problem whatsoever. That's your problem as such. Now, there is an explanation that's being demanded. Which of the following would reveal as to how the project manager should react? Okay, very nice, Anna. Okay, so option A says tell the director that mistakes are inevitable but will get corrected. You can never go ahead with this option out there in PMI. See, this is how, as a when you practice, you get in line with the PMI thought process. Option A might be what you or your organization goes out and advocates. Absolutely, but this is not the option that PMI would go out and advocate. You can't say that after you come out with a solution which came out with another problem, that mistakes can happen. It's only part and parcel of our project, that will automatically get corrected. No, you'll have to rather go ahead and come out with the solution, Pina. So that's why option A can't be the right option. Option B says come up with definition of ready by working with the team. Again, as I keep repeating in many of my other previous weekly sessions, the definition of ready, list of all, a checklist of all items which you should be getting done with even before going ahead and coming out with the relevant stories in the scope of the sprint. Remember, definition of ready and definition of done being the checklist of items which you as a team should go ahead and mandatorily obey for each and every user story to be reviewed to the customer. Right? So is it the definition of ready, which is not present, as because of which you came out with this particular scenario, or is it the miss in the definition of done instead that you should be going ahead and taking care of? So working with the team, examining the gaps in the definition of done, the items which were very necessary for you to go ahead and review the product to the customer, that would be much more important out here, isn't it? Because the solution is the output that you went ahead and shared with the customer. You have to do something to strengthen the terms by which you are letting that output flow, rather than thinking about the input. Input is definitely needed out there. You need a definition of ready, but for this particular situation, it's more important to have a definition of done, which is correct, which is apt for that relevant situation. So working with the team, examining any gaps that might be present inside the definition of done is the need of the hour. So option C, stand out. Now this requires some conceptual thinking. It won't by fluke go ahead and come up. So you'll have to understand the difference between definition of ready and done. Then only you'll be able to go ahead and take it forward. So option D says, ask the team to explain his rationale and lessons learned. Yes, absolutely. Now, Meena says, do you look like it's against the safe space to experiment? No, absolutely not. You're asking the reason out there. What is the lessons learned? You can definitely ask him or her to go ahead and share, what is the lessons learned from that particular situation if you have committed something wrong. You're there to learn. You're there to continuously improve. Remember Kaizen? Works a lot out there in the Agile framework out there. There to continuously improve. There to go ahead and come up with lessons learned and implement those in the next sprints. What is the ideal place to go and document the lessons learned? Remember, in Agile, is the sprint retrospectives, right? which we normally do go ahead and take forward. But then and there, the team member should go ahead and note the lessons learned and possibly discuss it over, during this course of the retrospective. This makes perfect sense out there, isn't it? If the team member has committed something wrong, go ahead with the lessons learned. That would be very, very worthy or worthwhile. Option E says, warn the team member about not taking risky initiatives. No, risky initiatives, whatsoever. Again, what about, the question now? It's not about you should not be at any point of time shy against taking any, risks out there. You have a risk, or you go ahead and, plunge into a risk, you have a risk response out there as well. But, in Agile, it's all about, you adapting to the problem out there. You coming up with the relevant solution to the problem. Why will you shy away against risk? Never again. The thought process, be it predictive or agile, never ever shy away from taking any risky initiatives. Yes, you can say that it depends on your risk threshold. Absolutely. So that is also something which you have to understand, but that doesn't have anything to do with this particular scenario. So E also gets ruled out. So as many of you have rightly pointed out, option C and D makes the most sense. Know for sure that this is the best option. You go for it, mark it, and say to yourself that you have done a great job in marking that particular question. So this is a conceptual question, and this will obviously help bolster your understanding and also test whether your understanding is in place for the exam. Okay, so we have reached the end of our session. It was a great interactive session, and again, thanks to Uma out there to have gone ahead and taken the time out with us and shared her invaluable tips with you. I'm pretty sure that it must have been a very. But even before we go ahead and close on, I would like to reiterate a few of the things. My email ID out here. You can reach me out at any point of time for any queries whatsoever, and I'll be more than happy to help you out. Also, my LinkedIn ID out here, as I shared with you a few minutes back over our chat window. And also, one key aspect out there to keep in mind is our June bootcamp, which kickstarts on 11th of June. Yeah, which is roughly around 10 days from now. Now, our bootcamp is not only about the live sessions. All those who are currently present out there know it very well what our bootcamp is all about, isn't it? Our bootcamp, make sure that first you get ready for the bootcamp. How? Just by, as Uma had said, the homeworks which your mentor will go ahead and ask you. Mentor, who is your mentor for the June bootcamp? It's none other than Gautham, who had gone ahead and helped ace Uma in her exam. So he will go ahead and take you forward end to end, literally handhold you from scratch. Go ahead and make sure that you're tidying over the homeworks as per the requirement of PMI, and also ensuring that you're improving each and every step that you go ahead and take for yourself. And as always, I'll always be there to help you out. You can anytime reach me out for any technical or non-technical queries. I'm more than happy to take you forward. Absolutely, Julia. So thanks for having all of you out here in this session. And we look forward to yet another enthralling session next week round, where Gautham will be going ahead and connecting you with yet another success story and taking it forward from there on with 5 more questions out there from his side. So having said that, it was great interacting with all of you. Have a great week out there, and I look forward to some other session in near future, possibly in a couple of weeks from now. Have a great time. Take care.